work so well, I think it might work this time, is we had folks adopt an MP on the committee and say, you know, here's some parental guidance for you as you're looking at the planet's future, and I think you should do the right thing. You know, we've never argued debating targets, but what I will argue is when people debate action or inaction, and I will fight them to the wall on that, and that's what we have right now.
Well, I think Copenhagen is a very interesting point in time that shows whether you're in or you're out. So in that sense, pushing to get the bill passed by, you know, obviously you've got a member of parliament who would vote for it, but if you have friends or relatives who live in other ridings, and, you know, that have other members of parliament, you know, to sort of make that ripple effect, because it is a matter of them actually feeling some political pain, you know, or some threat of problem brewing, and people don't hear from, the members of parliament don't hear from people enough. But it's also, you know, you can wrap in some of the other real issues that you're concerned about locally. In other words, the bill would set targets, but also, why is there no money for wind power? Or, you know, you have to actually, you know, raise these solutions as a piece of it. The other thing I would say is, if you have friends and relatives abroad. In Canada, you know, the government, you know, their reputation, especially, you know, in terms of an exporter, in this case of energy, but also, you know, wood and mining products, and we're very much a resource economy and therefore an export economy. Canada is quite sensitive about reputation internationally. So friends and relatives in Europe and China, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, there's, I think, it's a bit of a bigger jab that starts coming in here from abroad.
It may sound kind of trite, but writing to ministers, they count those letters.
Oh, yeah.
They have staff that count letters come in to say something, and because it represents a certain percentage of the population who bother to write a letter. So it's not trivial to write a letter expressing an opinion.
And no, we built into the bill not just targets, but the whole cap and trade or cap and invest system that we want to fund these things with. That it's not the perfect, and green bonds is something you've signed on to, but you have built us a minority parliament. We can line up, we have the potential to line up the opposition MPs in support of this effort. And it goes beyond politics. This is when the politicians have to take a breather and start looking that way a little more.
What's the number of the bill?
311. Very fine bill.
Can I just make a suggestion? It seems to me that the vernacular of political protest has changed in the last, even within the last year or 18 months. And it seems to me that the way to get empowered is to do YouTube stuff. That's your generation. And you ripple off onto my generation because you do a really clever video. And it sounds dumber than hammers, but if you have no money and you have no power, you feel you have no power, and you do a really smart video with somebody singing a song that's really clever, you can get a whole bunch of publicity. And you can also do Facebook. You can web each other and say, let's meet at the corner of blah blah, and do a guerrilla demonstration. I mean, I was raised in the Vietnam War time, so I was a reporter then, and I don't see feet in the street. And it's kind of disappointing to me that people aren't more. I think people are privately exercised and privately concerned about how they're going to help, but they feel impotent and powerless. And I think the young people are the people who are going to get nailed by this, and they're the people we owe the debt to. And I'd support you 100%. Go out onto the streets and do your stuff.
On the streets.
Yeah.
There's YouTube. Is it Sue?
Yeah.
There's a word to what Sue's describing, and it's called viral marketing.
That's it.
And it's very powerful, and
Yeah.
there's some people who are very good at it. Greenpeace is very good Reddit. They got, using these kind of web strategies, they got Apple to make, a green computer, and there's ways of doing it. And in fact, the whole term, reduce carbon emissions by 50% by 2080 or 2020 was started as a viral marketing campaign by some students in Vermont or something like that.
Well, it's fantastic, and the university is exactly the place where this should be happening.
So it could be as easy as literally starting up a Facebook group and start making a funny, quirky video on
Yeah.
YouTube, like maybe what the world would look like if we didn't sign a protocol or something.
Yep.
And potentially get the names of those people and mention those names and put direct pressure on those individuals and embarrass them essentially. And you could get 50,000 people joining a Facebook group
There you go.
quite quickly.
And that matters. That would matter to these guys. I mean, it's a both and. You can do the respectable thing, but I'd urge you to get guerrilla on it. I really would.
But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's effective and doesn't take any resources.
Well, it sure
Would
is
you,
not.
would you,
The
would you
internet
do
is
it?
using more resources than just about
Michael, can I just ask
anything
this,
else.
would you be interested in doing something like that to assist?
Sure. I have like 20,000 other things, but yeah, for sure, it's definitely important enough. And I work in the same building, the Center for Social Innovation, where there's a lot of techie web people who would, I'm sure, help spread.
Well, he's at the Mars group. There you've got a whole slew of people.
Social innovation group.
the
there.
Mars-
Before we even started, you want to echo what David was saying, especially about the barriers of eco-energy, et cetera, and what Sue was talking about.
There were a couple things, but just Sue had just mentioned on individual houses about sealing them up, and it's exactly the same with any of the multi-racial high-rise buildings. We do exactly the same thing. The stack effect and the air rushing in the bottom of the building and rushing out the top, all of these kinds of things we balance it. So because you had mentioned it, you thought it was just relative to houses, but it's not.
Oh no, we're all the same. You've got a better footprint than I have.
Yeah, that's sort of a point to that. The potential in our buildings is quite high. Like, for example, if you start from scratch, there's a building I'm involved with on College Street called Planet Traveler, which I've been on a soapbox about a fair bit. And what we're managing to do through economic arguments alone, so not doing anything just because we're trying to be good, because I have a partner to whom I have to make all the arguments as to why we put in geothermal, why we put in LED lighting, we're going to hit an 80% reduction from business as usual in the building without spending a dime, because we're cash flow positive from day one on all the technology. So the kind of reductions that we can hit are absolutely enormous if we put the effort in.
Yeah,
I think
the
we
same-
can even go further, I think we can even go further than that by making our buildings be centers of healing, actually, and make them give back more than they actually take from nature, by adding elements like green roofs and green walls and plant-based systems, so that they're life-giving, they create habitat, they're areas for birds and plants, but otherwise we wouldn't have this. We have so much concrete. And we also have, in downtown Toronto, we have a heat island impact, which means that because there's so much concrete, it raises the temperature in the city, and which means that there's more air conditioning. So it's this vicious cycle. So, it's hot, so you put your air conditioning on. Whereas